Hey everybody, my name is Hafreshah from paulson.org, and here we have the new, well actually not so new, Mini Cooper S. This is technically the third generation Mini Cooper since BMW took over the brand, and this F56 model comes in three variants here in Malaysia. There's the base Cooper going for 188,000 ringgit, and this is the mid-level Mini Cooper S for 229,000 ringgit. This I think is the best middle ground, the sweet spot of the range. But of course, if you want slightly more power, slightly more aggressive appearance as well, you can get the JCW. That goes for 293,000 ringgit. And of course, now there's also the 5-door option. It's slightly more expensive than this one. The 5-door Cooper S goes for 10,000 ringgit more, 239,000 ringgit. And there's also the basic 5-door Mini Cooper going for 193,000 ringgit. But I think if you really want a Mini, you would want the 3-door because it just looks so much better. The 5-door gives you slightly extra practicality, 2 extra doors to access the rear seats, but really, I mean, it just looks so much better in 3-door form. And if you're looking at a Mini, I think being fashionable, it looking good is a big factor in that, and you really want the 3-door, I believe. So the Mini is not cheap, definitely, but that's because it's a premium brand. It's not supposed to be affordable. And if you get the Mini Cooper S, as you see here, it really does look the part. Up front, you get this multi-layered grille air intakes. But if you look closely, the top bonnet hood is actually a fake vent. There's no hole there. At the bottom, you also get 2 extra nostrils for the Cooper S to feed the more powerful engine. And the lights are full LED units with this really cute half-ring LED DRLs. On the side, you get 17-inch wheels on the Cooper S. The Mini Cooper gets slightly tiny 16-inch wheels, and the JCW is one up again at 18 inches. On the side, you get this contrast color wing mirror caps as well as the roof. You can have, there's a lot of multiple color options that you can choose from, and this is a nice feature that's been available in most Mini models. A full alloy fuel cap. It's fake, obviously. There's a standard plastic one inside, but still looks really cool. At the back, since the Mini has grown quite a fair bit over the last 2 generations, they've had to change the proportions a little bit. The lights are much larger than before, and there's also this chrome ring around it. These are still bulbs. They still use bulbs. You'll need to wait for the facelift for the full LED units, but yeah, it still looks decent enough, I suppose. Down there is a pair of twin tailpipes just for the Cooper S and the JCW, and the boot itself, as you'd expect, is not huge. It's smaller than what you'd get in a, say, Prodo Myvi, for instance, but the floor can be raised. There's a decent underfloor storage. You can raise it up to this level so that when the seats fall down, you get a flat floor. And there's also this another cool thing. You see this notch on the spoiler? I'll give you a better look. There you go. You may think it's just a random design feature, but it's actually not, because when you open the boot, there you go. You can see that it's designed so that it doesn't hit the antenna. They could have just fit in a smaller, say a shark fin antenna, and avoid doing this, but hey, it's Mini, they're quirky, they're fun. Now let's take a look at the engine. The bonnet itself is another one of a unique feature for Minis. As you can see here, when you lift up the bonnet, the entire front lifts up. As you can see up there, it's a clamshell bonnet, and there's even holes for where the headlights should be. Anyway, onto the engine. This is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine like what you get in a BMW 320i, and it makes the same amount of power, 192 horsepower, 280 Newton meters of torque. The Mini Cooper gets a smaller 1.5-litre 3-cylinder engine that is fast revving, quite fun to drive, but you also get that little bit of vibration that is standard, that is usual for a 3-cylinder engine. This is a much more refined, much more powerful engine option. And if you compare this car to, say, most of its B-segment hot hatchback rivals like the Peugeot 208 GTI and the Ford Fiesta ST, those use a smaller 1.6-litre turbocharged engine, whereas this is a proper 2-litre engine. So to drive, this is more eager to rev. There's almost no turbo lag to this car. Once you put your foot down, this car just jumps forward. In a way, it's because the engine is really under stress. There's just a small turbo with very little boost going on here. The 1.6-litre engine in the 208 GTI makes between 200 to 208 horsepower from a 1.6-litre engine. This is a 2-litre engine making just 192 horsepower. You may think that's a bad thing, but in reality, that's actually a good thing because this car is under stressed. This engine, there's not much boost going on here, so there's very little turbo lag, so it just goes. And at low revs, this is still a 2-litre engine, not a 1.6-litre engine, so you get a lot more power from down low to mid-range and even the top range as well. This really feels a lot more powerful than, say, the 208 GTI and the Ford Fiesta ST. Now, let's take a look at the interior. The windows are of course frameless, so as you can see here, there's no pillars going around it. And this being a Mini, there's a very sharp edge over there, and the windscreen is fairly upright as well. This really is a retro interior. It's not quite as weird as the previous generation Mini interiors, but it's still as quirky as ever. Let's go see the seats first. It's manual, of course. For a car of this price, it's a shame that it doesn't get powered front seats, but in a way it sort of fits into the Mini nature, minimalistic nature. It's a decent, very supportive front seats, and you also get this manually adjustable, manually extendable support for your thighs. Get in, and the speedometer has been moved to within the steering cluster over here instead of being in the center like in the previous generation Minis. That's not such a bad thing because it's much more legible this way. Let's start the engine. This is the key over here. It's fairly large for a key. It's perfect if you want to keep it inside your handbag, but if you want to keep it inside your pants, you may get a little bit of a bulge down there. Well, not that way, but yeah, you know what I mean. Down here, you get this really cool start knob, and it pulsates a little bit over there in red. That's really cool. And to start, you just press the brakes, hold this, and there you go. You'll notice there's ring around this big center console here, and this changes depending on the drive modes that you have. Down here you can change between Sport or Green. Basically, Green is what BMW owners would know as Eco Pro. In Sport, the whole thing turns red and you get the, well, as it says right there, maximum go-kart feel. In Mid, it's a typical, this is standard driving mode, and the whole thing turns red or even yellow. And in Green, as the name suggests, this is for low consumption, but still with the driving fun, and the whole thing turns green as well. If you don't want the preset colors, you can change them. Up here, there's this little toggle where you can change the colors one by one. You can see here, change one by one. Or if you really can't choose which color is your favorite, you can just hold the toggle one way until it blinks, and then it will basically turn into a disco. It will just keep changing colors as you drive along. It can be a little bit distracting when you're driving at night, but yeah, to me it's a really cool feature. And it's not just this ring around here. There's a light for the footwell, there's a light along the door panels as well. It's a full proper ambient lighting going on here, which I think is pretty cool. On top here is color screen. It's not a touch screen, you can't do anything like that. You have to use this Idrive controller down here. Well, this is pretty much an Idrive controller. It works exactly as it does in modern BMWs. You can see it there. This is a power meter, so once you press the accelerator, you get, you'll see how much power the engine is generating at one point. It's pretty cool, I suppose. If you may remember, the previous generation Mini interiors had this Mickey Mouse ears thingy going around here with round aircon vents on the sides of the center console screen. This one over here, it's slightly more mature, I suppose, with rectangular vents, but it's still not exactly practical. See, if I were to place my hand as I were to drive it, the steering wheel completely blocks the aircon vent there, as you can see. So I don't really get that much of the aircon blast. But anyway, it's a Mini, it's quirky, it's just weird that way. You get dual zone climate control, and down here you get auto start stop. And this is the gear lever for the standard 6-speed automatic gearbox. The facelift version that's going to be out maybe towards the end of this year is going to get a 7-speed dual wet clutch transmission. So for those who are, say, not particularly convinced by a dual clutch gearbox, may want to buy this quick with a 6-speed automatic. This is by Aisin. It's not the best, quickest gearbox out there. It's not as magic as BMW's 8-speed ZF gearboxes, but it does the job pretty well. The shifts are smooth, fairly quick, and the response is decent as well. It still uses a traditional handbrake instead of an EPB, but hey, I suppose people who want to drive Minis, they want slightly more old school charms that go with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no center armrest, of course. That is an option in other markets, which is not fitted in this model here in Malaysia. Next, let's see the rear seat of this Mini. That seat over there is fitted to my seating position. I'm 166 centimeters tall, or short, however way you like it. And as you can see, it's quite small. It's not the biggest, most practical cabin. If you want slightly more legroom, you'd need the 5-door version. But with this, like I said, I'm 167 centimeters tall. I just about fit in there with, say, an extra inch of legroom left, while my head is almost touching the roof. So it's quite tiny. It's not the kind of car that you want to fetch your parents or your friends to go out with. It really is much more of a 2-door car. What's it like to drive? Well, this is not a review video, it's just a quick walk around, but I can tell you that it's really fun to drive, especially this Mini Cooper S. It rides a little bit stiffer compared to the standard Mini, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot more comfortable compared to the previous generation models. This is miles more comfortable than the old car. The old car was close to back braking hard. This one is more acceptable. It's not that bad. You can really live with it day to day, no issues there. And the steering, it can be a little bit over assisted at some points, especially on straight highway roads, but once you get to the twisty bits, it really holds. It is really, really fun. You really get that specific, unique Mini driving feel. It's something that only Minis can deliver. As cliched as it sounds, Minis really do offer that go-kart driving feel, and it's not a lie, it's not a marketing spiel, it really does feel that way. So there you have it, a quick walk around, well, not so quick walk around of the Mini Cooper S. What do you think of this car? What do you think of its price? What do you think of its looks? What do you think of its practicality? And would you buy this car? Would you recommend this to your friends? And lastly, would you buy this beautiful 3-door version, or, well, let's just say less than beautiful 5-door Mini Cooper? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.